Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In the last tutorial we looked at setting properties which allow you to set maps of strings and strings. In this tutorial we're going to look at setting properties for general maps. So as an example, in my jungle class here I've given it a property which is a map where the keys are strings and the values are my animal class. And I've added some stuff to my toString method in Jungle to display it. And I've also, of course, given it a set method called setAnimals, and that expects a map where the values are going to be animals. And this is dead simple. If we go to beans.xml here, and let's go to the GUI sort of view, and let's right-click the Jungle bean here, and go to Insert Property Element, and for the name I'll type animals because it's the set method is setAnimals, and then I'll right click that the actual property and go to Insert Map, just as you'd expect, and then I'll right click Map and go to Insert Entry, and now the entry subtags within map here, which is within property, they have a key and a key ref and a value ref. And in fact, key is, if you just want a string for the key, which I do in this case, you can fill in key. Let's fill in, for example, lion. That's just the string lion. If you want an actual object to be the key in your map, which is a little unusual, but you might want that, then some object other than string or other than an integer, then you can use keyref to refer to the ID of a bean. Similarly with the value, if you just want a plain literal string value, you could type a value for it here. If you want the value to be another bean, the ID of a bean, you can use the value-ref attribute. So let's type here, I've got a bean with the ID of lion, so let's type lion and save that. So if we look at the source code now, we're in the beans.xml, we've now got a property called animals corresponding to my setAnimals method in Jungle, which is here. And we're saying that we're setting a map for that property, which we are, and it's a map of string keys and the values are animal objects. And here we've got a key, we're just using key because it's a plain string instead of keyref. And then we're using value-ref because this is the ID of a bean, and I've defined that bean up here, lion. So now if we run this, hopefully that will work. Let's run it as a Java application. And there we've got, this is coming from my toString method, and you see we've added lion as a value in the map. Let's just add a couple more entries just to illustrate the principle. So I've also got a elephant. And of course the string keys, they can be anything you like. They don't have to match the IDs or anything like that. It's just that they do in this particular case. But you could have any key you want. Let's put snake in there, see if that works. There you go. So if you wanted a key to be for snake, for example, then it's not a problem. In my experience at least, it's a little bit unusual to use objects as the keys in maps, but you can do it if you want to. And if you do want to, don't forget your basic Java. Don't forget that the object that is the key should implement the hash code and probably the .equals method as well, so .hashcode and .equals. And of course you can always generate those automatically in Eclipse by right-clicking in your class and going to Source, Generate Hashcode and Equals, and selecting the attributes that are important in comparing, selecting the data members that are important when you compare two objects, the data members that determine whether they're different or the same, and click OK and you're away. So yeah, in fact in this case, if we wanted to use an animal, that will be the most likely case here. If we wanted to use an animal as the key in our map, we go to animal.java and then right click and go to generate source, generate hashcode and equals, and we'd probably want name and type to be taken into account when comparing two objects, and click OK, and that would generate our .hashcode and .equals method, which would then allow us to use this as a key in a map. If you're using objects as values in maps, then you don't need hashcode and equals. It doesn't matter. Only if you use them as keys, and that is relatively uncommon. So as you can see, very easy to set properties that are maps as well. And I think that's probably it for setting collection types as properties. And if so, unless I think of something else meanwhile, we'll move on to something a bit more exciting, hopefully, in the next tutorial. So until next time, happy coding.